evening, everyone. My name is Maryam, and as you know by now, I am the host of television, and as I always say, I bring on the best guests. So today we have another one, and this brother has been on the show before. In 2018, he came on the show. But this time, we're going to be talking about what Brother Malik does and why he is who he is today. So I'm going to start it off with reading something that he posted today, because I thought it was very apropos. This is what you said. You said, this is the post that you did today. We need leaders not in love with money, but in love with justice, not in love with publicity, but in love with humanity.
Right.
And that was said by the Honorable Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. Thank you for that.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
So, Brother Malik.
Yes.
Your name is?
Brother Malik. Turner Jones.
Turner Jones.
That's
right,
my
exactly.
name. That's my name.
Right.
Yes.
But we met years ago.
Years ago.
Years ago.
We did. Years ago. Yes, Lord.
And
yeah,
how I met you, it was Brother Malik Speaks.
It was.
And you had a program, and you were talking about the brothers and sisters who are incarcerated.
Right.
So have you been incarcerated?
I have been.
Mm-hmm.
I have been incarcerated a bunch of times. Too many times to even talk about, but I'm not proud of it, but I'm not afraid to talk about. I've been incarcerated, but out of all of the incarceration I've dealt with in life, I have still not yet faced any incarceration more worse than living in the so-called free world in my community. Mm-hmm. That's in the incarceration, because we all, if you would allow me,
yes,
we all roam throughout our community or dwell in our community with an incarcerated mind, right?
Yes.
Our mind be incarcerated
right.
because our mind literally bleed within a 4-block radius.
Right.
We don't see anything outside of the box.
Right.
I remember being a child growing up here in Newark when the big projects used to,
yes.
be up. And we lived in the projects that we would go to the top floor and look out the window and all you see was the New York skyline, right? Mm-hmm. I personally thought behind the New York skyline was the end of the world. I didn't think anything else existed.
Right.
Like, I really believed that it was nothing else.
So you were just there.
I was just there.
Mm-hmm.
You understand me?
Mm-hmm.
So, but then I gotten older and realized it was a whole bunch more past that.
Right.
So then make you broaden your horizons.
Right.
So then when you broaden your horizons, you get a different type of exposure.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go and see something different, then look back on what you got, then you realize you operating on the below, like subpar.
Okay.
So then you come back like, hold up, wait, something like the spook who sit by the door, right? They're like, hold up, wait a minute. You mean to tell me all this time, like I'm gonna speak for me, about me.
Right.
Coming up a little black boy in the ghetto, they will always tell us to go to school, get your diploma and stuff. But I personally did not know the benefits of having a diploma. Mm-hmm. I didn't see any benefits of having a diploma.
Okay.
So why are you telling me to get a diploma? What do a diploma do for you, mm-hmm. right? Then they would say, well, you need a diploma to be the garbage man. Oh, okay. But I'm watching the garbage man. He don't look like he's happy with being a garbage man, but he got a diploma, so that's like his rights to say, well, at least I'm a garbage man because I got my diploma. Mm-hmm. We were not exposed to anything else. You see people that get their diploma and probably go to to college and get degrees, but them the ones that leave and they don't come back.
Okay.
So we don't know the benefits. We just are products of our environment and what we've been exposed to.
Yeah, and exposure, that is a key word.
Yeah.
Because we have a lot of things that's going on here in Newark. And a lot of the parents have not taken their children down to Penn Station.
Have not.
Or to a museum.
Have not.
You know, so the exposure part is definitely important, because then all we know is the block.
That's all we know.
You know. Yeah.
Right. And the parents, like you said, the parents haven't taken the children to the museum. That's free. It's always been there.
It's all free. Right.
What about the parents haven't taken the children to one of these beautiful parks we have, either Weequay or Branch? Big, beautiful parks. Right. Children ain't been to the park with mommy and them.
Right.
You understand me?
Yeah.
So the children are allowed to just, roam the streets, searching for Wi-Fi, searching for something to do. But the parents don't know, because the parents don't visit the parks or the museums and stuff. Right. So our children are literally what we are raising them to be. We're not showing them anything different.
Right.
So this is why I believe something is weird with the community in which we live in, because we put a bunch of emphasis into political figures.
Yeah.
So where our political figures, the mayors, the councils, the councilmen or women, they literally be the poster child or the face for our problems. Right. So I can blame the mayor if my son died in the street. I won't take no responsibility or accountability. Say, I could have been a better father.
Right, exactly.
Or I could have been a better mother to my daughter. I'm not going to blame the female councilwoman. Right. But our people, we do that. Yes. And then we get political figures or so-called leaders that fell in love. They started out in love with the struggle. But then when they got in position, they changed the love for the struggle, but for the love for the bag. Right. They got the love for the money now. Yes. The Bible says, what would it profit a man to gain the world, lose your soul? Right. You used to say black power, now you say dollar power. Right. And it shows that too. And it shows. Yes. I remember, even as myself, I'm in love with results. It's not the money for me. I've been poor all my life. If you gave me $1 million, you would probably call me Illuminati too. Even though he worshiping another God now. You know, he got $1 million. He ain't praying to the God of have not no more. Right. He praying to a different God of the have got. Right. And you know what you're saying too is true, because what I notice with people, they make the politicians, they become their fans. Yeah. Like they are movie stars or something like that. Treat them like deity.
Right, and were it not for the fact that we voted them in, they wouldn't be up there. But so it's about the accountability. Accountability. And it's not just holding them accountable, it's holding us accountable.
Ourselves accountable.
To hold them accountable.
You know, ma'am, thank you. I personally speaking, I have not been in the know until the current mayor we have now. Yes. I didn't concern myself with politics. Right. Because I called it parlor tricks. Yes. I've called it witchcraft. Because you speaking with forked tongue. Yes. You come and gain the attention of the people to vote for you by way of bouncy houses, hot dogs, and CNC sodas. The people forget to discuss the for real issues, the things that you can address as a political figure. Right. You know, okay, let's say, I really don't know the job of a council person. Right. I don't know. I don't know the job of a mayor. Right. I don't know. And I feel as if I sat down and did the work to study what their job title is, somewhere in my life there will be a lack. I have no time to concern myself with the spot in your eye when I have a plank in my own. So I gotta be proactive in my own growth and development. If I see his garbage on my curb, I'll pick it up. Exactly. I'm not gonna call my deity, the mayor, call him, he the new Jesus now. Right. He's to answer all my prayers. Right. No, he can't. Right. It's me, self. Exactly. You understand? So we as a people, we've gotten so easy to pass the buck. We using every leader as a beast of burden. We casting all our cares on everybody so we can sleep better at night, knowing we should be more proactive in our own growth and development than what we are now.
Absolutely, and see that goes back to what we were saying earlier is taking you have to take full responsibility. For your actions.
Yes.
Like I speak at the council meeting. I've been speaking there for a while now on slumlords.
Come on.
Okay, because we got some slumlords here.
We do have a gang of them.
Yes, and
right.
so but my problem with that is if I live somewhere and the slumlord is not there and he's not doing what he's supposed to, I'm not going to sit with garbage in front of I'm going to clean it up. That's what I did when I rented. Wherever I rented, we would always clean up where we lived because my attitude is I'm paying the rent to live here. No, even if it's only $8 a month, I'm still paying the rent. I live here. I'm not going to step over garbage. So the responsibility is two ways.
Yeah.
It's the slumlord.
The slumlord.
And
the tenant.
The tenants.
And you are absolutely correct. I think we've even had that conversation some time ago. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yes.
And I ride through my community where we dwell.
Right.
And I see the conditions are pitiful.
Right.
But then I also, if you sit still long enough, you'll see the trash on the streets because we throw it there.
That's right. That's right.
I remember also visiting, I was doing a moving job in Lyndhurst, right? And at this time, I think somebody with me that was on the truck with me was doing something, eating something, consuming something. But when he finished, he threw a napkin on the ground.
Right.
Right? There was a guy that lived on the 4th floor in the building over there. He yelled, "Excuse me." We didn't quite hear him. So he came down, came all the way to us, picked the napkin up and said, "We don't do that here."
Yeah.
Right? And I found out, I'm like, whoa. Now he was like, nah, he was just doing that because he's black. I'm like, nah, he did that because he's right.
Thank you.
He live here.
Thank you.
And then that made me look at where I live like, hold up.
That's right.
I'll pull up where I live in the housing complex.
Yes.
We have dumpsters, right?
Right.
You would watch people walk from their dwelling place with their trash and go to the dumpster and put it next to it. Never put it in. And then you see one person do it, somebody say, follow the leader. The next thing you know, we got a large mountain of trash. Then now here come the rats.
Right.
And then we want to have a council meeting with the mayor because he ain't doing nothing, or the meeting with the management, and when in fact we are the ones. Exactly. The slumlords is an issue, but we should recognize the issue before we decide to move in.
Exactly. I remember I moved into an apartment, and so I go in and I look at the apartment, and outside the apartment is a whole lot of garbage that people threw out. So I told the landlord, I said, "Look, I'm not moving here until all this is cleaned up."
It's cleaned up, right?
And if it doesn't stay cleaned up, I'm leaving.
I'm moving out.
Exactly. You know, so it's a mindset.
It's a mindset
that people have accepted, and instead of taking the responsibility, they blame. That's the blame game, taking no responsibility.
You know, Queen Mother Bay, I've had a conversation with an African woman. And I don't know if she was just being totally transparent or brutally honest, but she seemed as though she didn't care about my feelings while we were talking, and I appreciated that. Don't soften your words if you got something to say to me.
Right.
Hit me with the hard facts for how you feel.
Right.
Let me know how to deal with you.
Right.
And the main thing that stuck out with me, and we had this conversation about 5 years ago, she said, it is the black people's culture to live in filth. It is the American black man and woman's culture to be nasty, trifling, violent, belligerent, overly sexualized, overly intoxicated, overly violent. It's our culture. This is what she said. And you know what I said with all of my rebuttal? Oh, wow. Because I began to look over and I was like, oh, because it's a large population of us who move in this way.
And they accepted it.
And we accept it.
And they accept it. Right.
We accept it.
Right.
And I say, wait a minute, y'all. It's time for us to raise ourselves up.
Right. Our standards.
Our standards. But in order for you to raise your standards, we must first be around people with raised standards. Because there's a bunch of women, let's say for an example, our women. We all know and understand in our community, our women can only elevate as high as we elevate them. This is what has been said. They said a nation can only rise as high as the women, correct?
That's
but who
true.
are the ones that's responsible for elevating the women? Must be us men. So now we look at what the current condition of our women, and then we say, well, we raised them there. Our women, due to knowledge, 85%, and I'm not trying to be funny, but the majority of our women, you see that they only been raised to address the lower desires. And what I mean by lower desires, I don't just mean sexually.
Right.
Just the lower desires are subpar to where they're apologizing for being perfect, but
Yeah.
tampering with perfection
Right.
because we elevated them there.
Yeah.
Versus we let them
see.
know you are beautifully and wonderfully made, sis.
Right, and that goes back to the fact that as women,
Yeah.
and this could be a whole nother conversation that we just cannot get into
We
right
can't
now.
get into it.
But as a woman, we have to love ourselves enough that we elevate ourselves.
But this is
because
what
I
I'm
remember,
speaking of.
yes, and I remember the Honorable Elijah Muhammad
Yeah.
making this statement about living conditions.
Come on.
He said, "You can take the ghetto and put it in the suburbs, and take the suburbs and put it in the ghetto, and then the ghetto will become the suburbs, and the suburbs will become the ghetto."
Facts.
And all of that has to do with the
With
mindset.
the mind.
Yeah, how
the
your
mind. Yes.
what it is that how you feel about yourself, you know?
Yes.
So this is what I want
Yes.
to do before the time runs out. Because I like brothers and sisters to come on, those who have been incarcerated,
Yes.
okay? I want them to give us the example of why you changed your behavior
Yes.
to become a testimony of success.
Okay. Would you like for me to
Yes,
start
sir.
with that? Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for that. Nobody's ever asked me that.
Oh, okay, yes.
Nobody's never asked me what happened with me.
Yes.
Or why did I choose to be different than what I was raised up to be. Now, I personally grew up in the ghetto. You understand me?
Yes.
And I thought going to jail was a rites of passage. I thought I was supposed to go to jail because all of my elders did. My father, my uncles, they sending pictures home in front of fake palm trees.
Yes.
So I'm thinking that's been the script for me. The same with robbing and stealing and drug dealing and getting high and drunk. I'm thinking I'm supposed to do that, literally. And I did it. I've been in jail 22 times, 22 times, right? But the last time I went to jail down in the county here,
Yes.
it was something different because prior to that, I hadn't been in jail in a long time, right? And the people that was in the jail this time that were captains, I remember when they were hired as rookies.
Okay.
You understand?
Yes.
I'm sitting in the jail this time, the last time, and I'm noticing the young boys calling me Unc and Pop, the same way I was doing the older guy when I was there.
Right.
But the thing that bothered me the most was when I was there, it was all children, fatherless boys. Fatherless boys. Every time I parted my lips, it was if they was in Cuba or church or like Jesus just spoke.
Right.
And the thing that rocked me the most, right, was when I was going home. I'm talking about brothers with the name of maniac or killer guy. When they found out I was going home, the young fella came in my cell, grabbed me and put his face on my chest and cried. He was like, man, being here with you, I finally felt like I had a father.
Right.
And that rocked me to my core.
Yes.
And then I come home, I said, ain't no way in the world I think I'm skating because I'm Jesus man or I done got Muslim, Jesus slave, you know. Nah, I'm still here because I'm on assignment to let them know, hey, young fella, you ain't nobody's mistake. You own the gangster title, the street, but you are so much more than that. I believe in you.
Yes. That's what I did too, yes.
Yeah, and I started doing that and I started seeing results. Then I started the Fathers and Mothers on Fire.
I remember that.
Right?
Yes. Right.
Me and my
I
brother.
remember that. You would go to the churches and
Yes,
everything.
me and my brother Randy Burley right here in Newark Baptist Church. Right?
Yes.
Used to get the boys from the Renaissance House come down there. I remember working down here as security. Boys escape from here and they come down here. I'm like, hey, what's up, man? Like, yo, I just escaped. I'm like, why you do that? You should go back before they miss you. Because if you escape, your life about to be miserable.
Right.
And they go back. Then they come to our lectures.
Yes.
Yo, thanks, OG, man. Thank you for talking to me. So we started the Fathers and Mothers on Fire 10 years ago. And I realized I was being the father to the young brothers that I wish I had. To the young brothers, huh? I began walking and being the man I wanted to see in my community.
Right.
I still walk that walk. Is it weary? Yes. Is it lonely? Yes. Do I find myself putting myself in compromising positions? Yes. Is it doing a lot to my emotions? Yes. Am I burnt out? Yes. But do I have the spirit of stop? No.
No. You know what I love about what you said? I remember when I was working at Delaney Hall, one of the older brothers came into the office and he said, I'm sick of these young boys. I'm sick of them. They was like going off on the young boys, they said, right? I said, first of all, this is what I want you to understand, because they didn't understand how I got along with them so well.
Right.
I said, this is what I need you to understand.
Yeah.
You remind them of their father.
That failed them.
Their father who left them.
Yes.
Okay, that's who you remind,
Yes.
who they think of when they see you. I said, because the majority of these brothers that are in here, these young brothers, they don't have a father. Or they have a father, but their father was not there for them. So here you come, the age of their father, and then all they see is their father. So therefore, they're going to be disrespectful to you. So this is what I want you to understand, how I want you to now react to them since you know this.
Since you know this.
Change your behavior to them.
Right.
Act like they're the father that they want to be.
Right.
Do that, and you will see a difference.
Change like that.
Yes.
I remember
And they
coming
said they never thought about that.
Right. Yes. Young boys be disrespectful to older guys, right? Because the older guys don't realize little man being disrespectful to you because his father failed him.
And see, and they didn't realize that until I talked with them.
Until you talk with them.
Yes.
So that takes me back to the time when I came back down there with Mike Williams.
Right.
And I mentioned that while I was speaking. The older guys was calling the young boys goofy.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, what do you expect them to be goofy or disrespectful? You sitting in the house with them. You're not supposed to be in jail with them.
Right.
You're supposed to be a better leader to them.
Right.
We lead them to the jailhouse. They led me to the jailhouse. I told you I thought I was supposed to go to jail.
Right.
So now it's time for us to break this generational curses.
Right.
Get right, brother. And then to command and demand every boy up under your umbrella to get right.
Right.
We are now in a place of, we've waited and we tried everything else. We've tried everything else. We put so much stock in our spiritual leaders that they done weaponized our vulnerability and they're using us to send them to the bank.
Right.
So now, what else do we have? God said, I gave you the same 24 hours as I gave them people that you would call a winner.
Right, that's right.
He said, I gave you the same breath of life, oxygen in your lungs, the same way I gave all of them powerful preachers and teachers. He said, what makes you different? At some point, Jesus said this to the disciples. How much longer must I be here with you before you realize you can be a savior for yourself?
Right.
We're not used to that talk. We're used to, you're going to get a formula, 11 o'clock Sunday morning at the church house between hours 11 and 1. We're not used to that every day, man. You woke, all right, now get up and change it.
Mm-hmm.
Get up and do it now. You are what you're waiting for.
Right.
And the thing is, everybody knows that about us. Every other nationality knows that about us, but we don't want to know it. This is why we go out of our way every day to stay overly intoxicated or high, drunk, pilled up, overly sexualized. Everything, we abuse everything.
But don't you think that has a lot to do with how black people have been treated in this country?
Absolutely.
It has a lot to do
It has
with that.
a lot to do with that.
Yes.
This is why I say, at this day and age, we are in the day of information.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
At what point do we look over our shoulder and look back at yesterday?
Right.
And say, okay, we done marched. We done watched our fearless leaders. They say, oh, we done outdone the march with the Million Man March. Ms. Farrakhan called for 1 million, we got 2.5.
Right.
We beat the march in 66 or 60 in Selma. We beat them. But the difference between Selma and today, the Million Man's March, Selma, they came down there on the back of buses with chicken back sandwiches in a little paper bag. And the Million Man March, we coming down there in our Cadillacs,
And so
flying out there.
Right. And here's the thing. Time goes by so fast. And so now we're wrapping it up.
Oh my God.
And Brother Malik
Yes,
Speaks.
yes.
I want to thank you so much
Thanks,
for
fam.
coming here.
Thanks, fam.
I am so happy that he came here because seeing you grow up,
Yes,
right?
Yes.
That makes me feel really good.
yes, you respond, you play a part.
Yes.
Let's be clear.
Yeah.
You play a part, and I so appreciate you, ma'am.
I appreciate you too, and I appreciate everything that you're doing in our community.
Thank you.
And I am so happy that you tuned in to us today. Thank you so much. My name is Maryam Bey, and my guest has been Brother Malik Speaks. 22 years. 22 years or 22 times?
22 times.
22 times incarcerated, and now he's out in our community in Newark, New Jersey, working to make our young people's lives better. Thank you so much and have a great day.